No, that's why I say, brothers, you know that you know that you know. It's just something inside you that it's this peace.
And there's only one thing that will make it complete.
When I'm walking up the driveway, I hear my wife singing. And sometimes I just stand outside like this. Listen to her voice. And sometimes I get tears in my eyes, yo. Because that's what I work hard for. When a woman isn't happy, she ain't gonna be in her house singing. When a woman is miserable, she not gonna be in her house singing. What's going on, my good people? Welcome back to the channel. Good morning, everybody. Want to have a conversation with my brothers this morning. So my wife and I had a really interesting conversation right before she left out this morning to go handle some of her business bright and early. Had my coffee, y'all. Are you ready to get married? Are you scared to propose? To all my brothers out there. I guess this conversation can be for women also, but I just wanted to take my time and just go through this. Just have a conversation, brothers. Some things that I went through in the beginning. My wife and I have been married 9 years. We're actually entering into our 10th year of marriage. We've known each other since 2012. And so there were some things that I had to deal with in the beginning of even before I proposed that I thought was because my wife asked me this morning, she was like, what is it that a young man goes through when he's about to propose? Is he scared? Is he nervous? First of all, I'm gonna say everybody's different. Everybody's different. The one thing I'm gonna say to you, to all my brothers out there, you know when you know. You can date women, have girlfriends, could have been married before. What I'm gonna say is that when a man is ready to settle down, he knows that he has the right one. I'm gonna say this too, is that I think it's very unfair for anybody to be dating somebody with no end date. I know we live in a different world, in a different society where nowadays some people don't want to get married. They're opting out of marriage and opting out of being in what we call, I'm talking about a traditional relationship, y'all. Everyday male, female relationship. When a man loves a woman, he's nervous about proposing because he doesn't know if he can be the husband that she needs, or whatever the concerns. Well, I'm gonna share my concerns. Hopefully within me sharing my challenges in the very beginning, I can help somebody. I think it's very unfair to string a woman along 5, 6, 7, 8 years. What I will say is that I was older when I proposed. My wife and I have had previous, for lack of a better word, marriages prior to us getting married. So the experience wasn't completely new in terms of me knowing how to be a husband to her. It was new because I had to learn to be a husband to my wife, who I'm married to now, because you can't fit old wineskins into new wineskins. You can't take the habits from an old relationship and try to force them, or because somebody treated you a certain way, think that the person you're with now is going to do the same thing. These was a lot of the bad habits that I had in the very beginning. But I do think it's very unfair. We dated for a short amount of time before I proposed, y'all. I'm actually gonna put the video up shortly of when I actually proposed. I have it on videotape. My wife and I, at the time we were dating, we were doing a women's empowerment conference in Jersey, and at the end of the conference, I decided to call my now wife up on stage, and I'll show you that shortly.
And there's only one thing that will make it complete.
I wanted to deal with some things first. First of all, how did I know Jamila was the right one? You just know that you know that you know. There's something inside that clicks. I remember, I shared the story before. I remember there was a time we were friends with benefits at the time. And she said to me, she said, I'm not going to keep doing this. She said, I know what God wants for my life. He wants me, I want to be married. That's my desire. That's my heart. That's my soul. And that's what God wants for me. And so she said, we're not going to keep doing it. So she actually stopped talking to me for a while. She stopped talking to me for a while. And we went maybe for about 8 months or so. I could be off with the timing. Put this over here, y'all. I could be off with the timing, y'all. But in that time period, I grew up a lot. And when we came back together, it was January 1st, I want to say 2014, I believe. And we've been together ever since. At that point, you just know that you know that you know. But one of the key factors, I remember she was over at the apartment one time once we got back together. And I remember her cooking or doing something for at the apartment, at my apartment. And I remember sitting on the end of the bed and God's like, look, marry her or leave her alone. And I think that's the conversation I want to have. I get, as men, we can be afraid. Some men can be afraid to freaking commit. Anytime I have a conversation, I'm never factoring in cheating, women, all that kind of stuff. No, I'm talking about men just being fearful that you now have to take responsibility for this life for the rest of your life. That's the conversation that I want to have this morning. And so I remember saying, okay, God, I felt it. As a matter of fact, even before that, our first date, January 1st, we went, I texted her earlier that morning. And I said, hey, you want to go to the movie? She was like, who is this? In my head, she knew who I was. She's like, my wife had no clue who it was because we had stopped talking for a while. So she had no clue it was me. But in my arrogance, you know who I am. I'm the only man in your life. Lisa, that's how it was coming across, right? And then we went to the movie theater. I remember going to the movie theater. She wanted popcorn. I had a very limited budget at the time. So I'm like, look, we can get some popcorn and a soda and that's going to be it. And she wanted nachos. I'm like, oh, this woman want nachos. All right, let me get her some nachos. We sat down and we sat down in the movie theater and my wife put her leg over my legs for the first time. I was always really weird. I'm a little Asperger-ish, y'all, a little nonverbal disorder. So emotionally, it takes me a minute to freaking catch up with some things, right? But I remember when she put her leg across my leg, she just sat there. We were watching the movie. It felt like the peace of God just came down over me. In that moment, I said, I'm going to marry her. I knew it. I was done. I didn't tell her that day. But inside me, that's why I say, brothers, you know that you know that you know. It's just something inside you that is this peace. Now, just because you have that peace doesn't mean that you are not going to deal with certain things when it comes to proposing and marriage and dating. It's just that God lets you know this is the person that you can grow with. The thing about coming together, y'all, is that the thing I learned, you're taking two imperfect people and you're trying to cram them together into this one life. I have my life. I have my upbringing, my mother, my father, all the disappointments, all of the freaking trauma, and my wife had hers on the other side of the coin. Now, in a relationship, we're trying to take these traumas and we're trying to come together and blend this one life. And sometimes that gets kind of scary, y'all. I remember after I proposed, we had an original wedding date set. I think it was for sometime in April, I believe. I could be off a little bit, but I'm just trying to tell you the story. After I proposed, y'all, I knew it. I knew she was the one. So I finally got the courage up. I got the ring, and I just thought that the conference was such a perfect time because I wanted to express what I was feeling inside to the universe. That's just how I am. But then after I proposed, y'all, I got cold feet. And I remember my wife's, my fiance at the time, saying to me, "Why are you acting different?" And so I actually went to counseling one time because I didn't know what was wrong or why I started to back off. But I started getting this fear of not fear of being committed. I didn't even know really what the fear was, brothers. But I started getting this fear, right? I remember sitting in the counselor's office and she's going through her normal father, son, trauma kind of stuff. And then she asked me a question. I said something like, I think when I think about my past, I'm afraid of being used like I was the first time. And in that moment, a light bulb went off. I'm like, oh. In that moment, I realized that wasn't the person, that wasn't the woman I was with anymore. So many times we take our past hurt and our past trauma, we take all these things from our past, and by default, they just creep up into our relationship. And it was one of the things I had to learn very, very early on. My wife has nothing to do with my past. It is up to me to deal with the issues inside of me so that Jamila and I can move forward and build our own life together. The moment I got that concept, I was full steam ahead. We planned a wedding date, and we just moved forward. I'm gonna say this: I think some men wait until I want to be financially ready, I want to be financially stable, and I want to do this and I want to do that. There's a bunch of things that I was doing when I was single that I thought I was preparing for marriage. I thought I was preparing myself to be this phenomenal husband. The challenge is when you're single, when you're living a separate life, there's nothing that can prepare you like being together other than being together. Because it is in that coming together, it is in that the blending process that you see where both you can work your own issues out. I was raised a certain way. My wife was raised a certain way. A lot of them habits clashed in the very beginning. Wasn't that it was easy. We loved each other. We still love each other dearly. It wasn't it was easy. The blending process was easy. It was that I knew she was the right one. And so whatever I needed to do to change, evolve, grow, and to be a better man, if I become a better man, I'm a better husband. My goal wasn't to be some super husband. My goal was if I can just be a better version of Robert, then I can be a better version of Robert to my wife. And in that, I needed God's help. So all these fears, all this craziness, it took time. Is a blending process. I can honestly say it's probably now as we slide into year 10 of marriage. You can spend 10 years of dating. You can spend 10 years of, I don't know what it is. There's something that's very spiritual about proposing, putting a ring on your girl's finger, walking down the aisle, declaring before God, declaring to the world that me and this young lady will be together until death do us part. There's something life-changing. And even in this blending process, it's both of us giving up our habits or giving up the things that we were so committed to in our singleness. I think a lot of times, and only way that I found it successful for me to do is I had to get away from everything. I'm okay with changing my environment. I remember in the very beginning when we first got married, my wife and I actually had a ministry. I'm talking about like we got married one week and we started the ministry maybe 2 weeks later. It was so emotionally taxing on me. And at some point, I felt like it was unfair to her because I didn't even give us time to grow. And now I'm like, yo, you're being selfish because it's something that you want. This is something that you want. But was it good timing? I didn't even give us time to grow. And I'm going to say this, brothers, in every situation, in a new marriage, you got to give it time to grow. So once you deal with all of the fears of proposing, once you answer all the questions inside you, like, is she the right one? Can I do this? Can I do that? Everything takes time. What I'm going to say is that you make a decision and you commit to your freaking decision. We live in a world where divorce is always an option. You got to remove divorce off the table. My wife and I have been through some battles in life, not necessarily with each other, but in life that I believe were designed to freaking separate us. And in them moments, in them challenging moments, I say to myself, then why did you marry her? See, we live in a world where everybody gives us a pass. Everybody gives us makes an excuse why they can and why they can't do something. I think it's one of them things, brothers, that you got to say to yourself. This is the person that I want to grow old with, and there's something very, very godlike in making that commitment. I don't think anybody, and I don't think you can pigeonhole a relationship because both people will continue to evolve. You don't, just because you start in one place doesn't mean you're going to end there. I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. My wife is not the same woman, nowhere nearly the same woman that I met 10 years ago. So it is me being dedicated to the evolution of Jamila Ballard. You see what I'm saying? So yes, you're proposing in the beginning because in this moment, God is showing you, okay, this is the woman that I'm putting before you. It's a seed. In that seed, brothers, our job is to water to make sure she grows and becomes the best version of herself. And I think the stereotype in this world is that especially in the black community, or within the urban community, I'm going to say that a man just brings a hard-working woman down. That's not so. That's not always so. It's just that a lot of men are so busy working, they're not sitting in front of a camera sharing their life story. And so you got to be committed to the evolution of who you're married to. I see my wife's gifts and talents. I see her abilities. And so the only way for me to gauge whether I'm growing a lot of times is to look at her and be like, okay, she's still growing. Okay, she's conquering new things. Okay, she's conquering that. Okay, she climbed another mountain. And I'm looking at myself. I don't want to be the kind of man, brothers, that my wife is conquering mountains and I'm just sitting stuck. I'm not moving. No, this is what I do. And don't get me wrong. I've been like that throughout the years. What I'm saying is, when in the very beginning, when you propose, I need you to be committed to the evolution of the relationship. I need you to be committed to evolving over a period of time. Listen, you propose to a young lady. You two may be one individual. It could be a death in the family. It could be a growth in the family. It could be money. It could be a bunch of different, could be kids, whatever it may be. In life changing, you have to be committed to the process of evolution. That is how you make the marriage work. Not looking at just the wedding. My wife and I went to go see a wedding planner. We went to go plan our wedding in the very, very beginning. I love my wife for this too. And as we started to crunch the numbers, it was coming up to like 16, 20,000. My wife said, oh no. She was like, we ain't gonna dump all that money into just, no. She said, if we're gonna take that money, we're gonna invest in us. Can I tell you, my wife has had this. Let me tell you a real quick story, y'all. When we were dating, we were going to church. I think we had the kids in the car. We were rushing, and I don't know if my wife had it. She put we got in the car. We got in the truck. I had a truck at the time. I put the coffee on top of the thing, or her coffee. I don't know who put it up there, but the coffee on our way to church. I accelerated. The entire cup spilled on her lap. She had black jeans on. The entire cup spilled on her lap. I'm like, in my head, because again, trauma from the past. Oh, we ain't going to church now because she's going to be all messed up. My wife took a rag or something. Okay, let's go. Come on, let's go. Yo, I sat there for 30 minutes thinking, this woman got to be an angel. This woman, there's no woman that I know of in my lifetime in the world that's going to spill an entire cup of coffee on herself on the way to service and not turn that damn car around to go change her clothes. My wife, she wiped it off. She said, it'll dry. Don't worry about it. Come on, let's go. And we went to church. See, these are indications that you got to ride or die. These are indications that you got. Then there was a bunch of different little things over a period of time that I had to come to grips with. There was another time, very early on. My wife, she sings, and so she texted me. She was going to the recording studio with some of the guys she was recording with. I have no idea why I got jealous. My wife has been eternally faithful. We were dating at the time, and but trauma from the past. Oh, who you with? I'm losing it because in my head she's lying to me. Not lying. She was at the studio, y'all. Dear brother, these are all things I was dealing with leading up to the proposal, and all of these fears, all these things was freaking me out. And then of course money. Did I have enough money? Was I making enough money? Let me tell you something, my brothers, to all my brothers. You would never make enough money. You could be a millionaire. There still will not be enough money because when you come together, your life evolves and grow. What you both have to do is learn to master the money that you're making. I've said this 1,000 times. You could be making $11 an hour consistently and build a decent life with if you maintain your budget. You can make $1 million a year and end up broke if you're a horrible spender and you have no discipline. So when we start talking about blending lives and blending families, these are all things as a man I had to come to grips with. God told me, okay, I felt it. She was the one. Okay, I got the money together to freaking propose. Okay, I proposed. Now I got to build happily ever after. You know the old saying, happy wife, happy life? That is somewhat true. That's somewhat true. I will say this. We are, as individuals, we are all responsible for our own internal happiness. I say that because some people struggle with depression. Not us. I'm saying I've seen this in my life. I have had bouts throughout my lifetime where I struggle with depression somewhat. I deal with anxiety a whole hell of a lot. I'm still dealing with that, and I'm getting, thank God for His grace. I thank God He's helping me with it. Anxiety, depression, a whole bunch of these other things. All these things is what comes when you start blending your life with somebody that you didn't know. I'm gonna say this. Let me talk about depression for a minute. I'm not God. I can't heal, but I am God, and I have to be her healing to some extent. And so when we talk about blending a life, when we talk about maintaining progress throughout the relationship, fellas, there is a level of responsibility I have with what she feels and thinks inside. Now, I know I cannot go inside her and adjust and change certain things. Now that you got to go to God for. There's a lot of times I realize that you just got to be patient, pray, have the grace of God on both sides of the fence, because nobody's perfect. I think in America, in freaking America, we come together and we think a house with a white picket fence, and it's just not so in 2024 and going forward. Families are going to be blended. What the success of a family looks like is going to vary based upon the individuals coming together. My version of success is just a smile on my wife's face. If she can wake up every day, enjoy her life, enjoy her freedom, share her passions, what she loves, share her kids and growing, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. That means we are growing. That means I've done my job as a man. Not sit back to make myself happy, not sitting back so that all eyes are on me. I want to sit back to the smile on her face indicates to me that I'm doing a good job, y'all. That's something for you to always be mindful of and to always think about. So these are all things you deal with. Depression, ups and downs. When we first got together, so a couple of years ago, touch on this real quick, y'all, because this all ties into this whole conversation, because coming together. So when before I jumped in, a couple of years ago, I was driving. We had just gotten to Georgia. I was driving. I heard Chris Rock say something about Asperger's, that he found out he was on the spectrum of autism, right? And I'm listening to him, and so some of the things he was sharing, like nonverbal cues, he doesn't pick up on social cues, and the whole room could be laughing. He's sitting there like this, and while he's always in his head thinking, I'm like, damn, that sound like me. Damn, that sound like me. And again, now we're already married. We've already established a life together. We by this point, I think we're together almost 6-7 years already. So I started to look into this autism thing. It's called nonverbal. It's a nonverbal disorder, I believe it is. You don't pick up on social cues, kind of rigid in your thinking, not very affectionate. These are all things that I am learning. I have to learn. So I let my wife hear it one day. We started going through. She was like, "Oh my God, that's you." She said, "You act just like that." She's like, this and gives me a bunch. She said, because I thought you were just an asshole. I thought you just were, mean. And she said, oh, I get it. So again, not making no excuses. Now that we can put a face on it, now I can begin to deal with some of the issues that I have inside me and why I am not a certain way in certain situations. Because I can be the best person at the party if I'm by myself, or I can be the worst person at the party. Because I said it before, I'm an introvert. I am 1,000% a freaking introvert. I can become an extrovert when I have to be, but by nature, I am truly, truly a freaking introvert. I just know how to master the beast inside me to do what I need to do in life, right? I said all that to say this, y'all. When we talk about blending a life, blending a family, the reason why that's important is because my wife didn't sign. When I engaged, neither one of us knew that I had this issue. It evolved over time, and I'm learning. The older you get, you kind of get locked into it. You got to go. Autism is a spectrum. So this is one of the lower, more common autistic tics, I guess, right? And I see it in other people now. I was watching Amanda Seales on Club Shay Shay, and I'm sitting there like, oh, she got it. Elon Musk, oh, he got it. There's a couple of people, like I watch Chris Rock, oh, I see he got it. I can see the similarities in the movements, the quick moving. That's why I probably move a lot. It produces a lot of anxiety. So there's a lot of times where my anxiety is like two freaking Trojan horses that I'm freaking pulling back. And so a lot of times I just got to sit like this. Because if I jump in the conversation, if I don't control it, then I'm like this, and then I'm just pissing everybody off. Which I dealt with. I did a lot in the beginning of our marriage. I shared that story to say this. These are things that when you propose that you have no clue about. That's why I said you got to be committed to the freaking process. Be committed to the process. I wasn't worried about past relationships. I let all that ish go. I let my past go. Because I needed God to establish new life. And, God told, I think it was Abraham in the Bible, or was it Noah? One of them, Abraham or Noah, to get away from your family. You got to get away from your family. And when you get away from your family, I'm going to bless you. Because a lot of times, as men, we want to hold on to our nucleus and the things that made us us, and it made us, the football star, the track star, the business star, and moving away from it, we lose our identity. But that's what God wants. He wants us to lose our individuality so we can now come together as a couple and build this new thing together. And that is what you got to think about as a man. Long term, am I going to build the UNITY, or am I going to build my individuality? Recently, Judge Mathis reunited, and it feels so good. Anyway, recently, Judge Mathis, if y'all follow him on TMZ, he had his wife file for divorce. And TMZ caught him in the airport, and he said, it was my fault. I hope I can be a testament to all men. But I was on the road. I kept my wife third. I traveled. I did my business. He was building his own identity, his own brand. He forgot about UNITY. He forgot. So now he's been reunited. And so now he's like, I'm going to do what Linda wants. I'm going to do what Linda likes. Because at the end of the day, my brothers and sisters, the reason why we move away from our family and our friends and we create this new planet that we live on with this special woman is because we committed to the process of blending, and it's her first. That's scary. I get it. And so who you were as a man on the football team, who I was years ago in business, I'm no longer him. He is now dead. Now in the resurrection, it has to be Jamila and Robert. You understand what I'm saying? If you can put that into perspective, Judge Mathis kept his wife third. In keeping her third, she dealt with it for a long time. I'm talking about after 30-something years, she dealt with it for a long freaking time. My wife wouldn't deal with it for freaking 2 minutes. She dealt with it for a long time, to her point. So I applaud her for her freaking strength, because there's no way on God's green earth that would have been any of in my life. My wife was like, no, get it right. Get your priorities together. These are all things that we learn and we grow as a man, right? Because it is about establishing a new version of life. Is it scary? Hell yeah. Does it have its ups and downs? Hell yeah. But what's the benefit? So there's a bunch of benefits, y'all. Stability, peace of mind, God's blessing, God's grace, true joy, true happiness. I shared this before too. We just bought a house out here in Georgia, right? I come home from work, and at times when my wife is in the kitchen, either making dinner, cleaning, or whatever, or she could just be making herself something to drink. My wife loves to sing. Brothers, when I'm walking up the driveway, I hear my wife singing. And sometimes I just stand outside like this. Listening to her voice. And sometimes I get tears in my eyes, yo. Because that's what I worked hard for. When a woman isn't happy, she ain't going to be in her house singing. When a woman is miserable, she not going to be in her house singing. When her man is all over the place in every other woman's face, she's not going to be in her house singing. When she's paying for all the bills and he's not even trying to show her he's trying, she's not going to be in her house singing. Listening to my wife sing, hearing her voice in them moments lets me know, Rob, you all right. Keep going. Y'all got God's blessing. Y'all got God's grace. Keep going. That's an indication. That's why we do what we do in this blending process. There's a certain level of maturity as a man that I've grown to that I would have never gotten to had I not married her. Period. There's a certain level of financial stability that I would have never got, because when you're in your singleness, you think you can just throw your money all over the world. Now that you have responsibilities on your plate, now you understand. Now we're gonna deal with this shmoney, and we're gonna make it work for us, not just for me. I'm a sacrificer, y'all. I'm not gonna listen. If I know some ish is coming up, I'm not gonna go out and buy myself a new pair of sneakers. I'm not gonna go outside and buy myself a new pair of jeans. I'm okay with going to Walmart at times. I know how to. So what I'm saying is, I know how to sacrifice for the greater good of the relationship. You understand me, brothers? I know how to sacrifice for the greater good of the relationship, so that we can be better. I like to coin the phrase, you got to pay now to play later. Take your time, sit your ass in the house, put that money away, get that house. To all my young brothers that have proposed and you want to listen, the next phase, after you propose, get that house, baby. Get that house, baby. I applaud you. Listen, to all my brothers who listen to this, or hopefully somebody can share this, get at me, brothers. Men, I don't need no women getting at brothers, get at me. I want to walk you through this process. Because it has so many highs and lows, but it is the consistency. It is saying, you know what? We started in one place, but 10, 15, 20 years from now, the seeds that I planted, I'm going to watch grow. I'm going to watch her become a better woman, take charge, do this. And I'm going to sit back and thank God that he allowed me to be a part of her process. And that's okay. You don't lose yourself. You gain who you are. You think I'm sitting here doing this because I'm just all... No, it is because the life and the growth that we have grown together, that my wife and I can now do what we love, share our passion, share our excitement with each other, with the world, and still maintain a healthy, happy, married life. Anyway, I hope y'all got something from this one, y'all. Are you ready to propose? I guess the simple question is, if you got to know that you know inside. Once you get that feeling, brother, and I'm not even going to say a feeling, I'm going to say a peace. Let me say that. Once you get that peace, knowing that once you propose, now, beyond the wedding day, beyond all the pictures and all the other hype and all the other things that we like to create in this freaking lifestyle, beyond all of those things, my brothers and sisters, now let's build a life together. Family, kids, that the world can learn from, grow from, have a vision. The Bible says, without a vision, my people perish. I got a vision for our relationship, for our marriage. Anyway, I hope y'all got this. I try to take my time with this one, y'all. I salute my wife. Some of y'all may get tired of me talking about her on this channel. I don't care. I think as couples, we need to talk about each other more. The only one who deals with my weirdness is my wife. Only one who deals with my craziness is my wife. Only one who deals with me being high and low at times is my wife. The only one who's been there with it when money was tight was my wife. The only one who's been there when I wasn't feeling well was my wife. Only one when I got sick a couple of years ago and she took me to the emergency was my wife. There was nobody else to call. There was nobody else I wanted to call. There was no part B. There was no mom, dad. There was nobody else. No, it was UNITY. It was us together. It was my wife. So that is why I celebrate her. That is why I clap. That's why I let her do what the hell she wants to do, how she wants to do it, because she's a woman of integrity. And I want to see her live her best life. I live, I breathe, I move. So how do you know you're ready to propose? Are you listening to me? I'm ready to, listen, I let her live, breathe, move, be her, grow, express herself. Listen, if it's a new endeavor she wants to take on, I'm gonna be her backbone. Let's go. If my wife comes to me tomorrow and say, hey, babe, I got a good business idea. Now, listen, I believe in everything is time and season. Time and season. But I'm just saying the kind of support I give her. If she comes to me tomorrow and she says, hey, let's start a job. Let's start a business cleaning up SHIT. I'm going to go in the room. I'm like, I can't believe she wanted to do this. I'm like, all right, babe, let's go. Let's go. There's some things now that she wants us to do, and I'm working on it little by little by little. Just trying to balance out some of my time. It's okay. It's okay, though. We're going to get there. All right? Hope this was good. Hope it was inspiring. My brothers, if you're ready to propose, the holiday season is a perfect time to propose. Get at her. Send me a picture of the proposal. Rock, let me know. All right? I'll be back in another episode too. Peace.